Jack, we going to join the war?
Well, I suppose it really comes down to how you define, are we joining the war? As we've seen, Israel thus far has conducted a range of strikes on the nuclear program, but also on oil infrastructure, oil facilities, missile defense, missile silos, airfields, airports, et cetera, and military leadership. If President Trump so chooses, I think the big question has been specifically on the nuclear facilities that reside at this position that are far lower, the Fordo site, far lower than any of the Israeli bombs or missiles can be able to penetrate. So that's really one of the big questions, although I'm told that at the National Security Council meeting this evening, a range of options were discussed.
A range of options to, do you think it's likely, because right now it's my sense that there's still support, basically what we're seeing is support aircraft and support systems. Do you think it's likely that the U.S. joins and actually strikes?
Well, at this point, that's one of the potential range of options. So one option could be pursue diplomacy for longer. I think a lot of people think that ship has sailed at this point, given just reading the tea leaves and seeing everything that's going out there. And so the U.S. military pre-positioning all these forces creates optionality for the president as commander-in-chief. And no decision has been made yet, as we've seen this idea that he was going to give remarks hasn't come out yet. And so those options range from potentially just this limited strike against certain facilities all the way up to a wider range of strikes, all the way up to, and Lindsey Graham's the senator, and a lot of the neocons are really calling for this full-scale regime change operation in Iran right now, led by the U.S. military, working in conjunction with Israel and others.
Does anyone around the table think that an actual regime change effort is something that's realistic in the future, or is that something?
There's the probability that it does happen. I think the probability is low right now. I think U.S. strikes are incredibly likely. It's a random ballpark number, but I'd say 65-70% that the U.S. does some kind of airstrike. I'd say maybe a 30% that we simply engage in assistance of Israel, like refueling and things like that. And then maybe single digits, full-on regime change.
I think it's worth mentioning that it's been MAGA doctrine since Trump has been involved in politics that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. When President Trump first began getting involved in politics during the Obama era, one of the constant things that he would rail against President Obama was how weak he was on the GCPOA, on the original Iran deal. And it was clear that from then, and he released recently like a press statement, and even on his Twitter, his rapid response Twitter account, going back like a decade, there are videos of him saying, I would not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And even today, in response to a question about how Tulsi Gabbard said Iran isn't getting close to your nuclear weapon, he said, I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having one. So I think that he's actually been very clear on the facts of the case here with not allowing Iran to get a nuclear weapon, and I think he's fulfilling that promise. So as far as I'm concerned, I think this is promises made, promises kept by Donald Trump. I'm satisfied and from our ally really doing our dirty work. I think that the Jews are doing our dirty work in the Middle East and diminishing Iran's offensive capabilities against us. I think it would be a good thing if our allies took care of our enemies as well as Israel did our enemies. Like if South Korea took care of the North Korea issue, or if Japan and Taiwan took care of China, or if Europe pulled their weight over with the war against Russia and Ukraine.
Is there anywhere in the world that you think that we shouldn't be at war?
No. I agree. No. Hold on. If the statement is Korea should be responsible for itself and Israel should be responsible for itself, and we're not involved in any of it, done. Agreed.
That's a good ally, an ally that is able to diminish the capacities of our enemies and isn't burdening us. I think Ukraine's been a burdensome ally. They haven't been very successful in pushing.
An ally.
Yeah.
We sent them a fair amount of military assistance. I don't know what we call them.
So you're saying colloquially, you consider them they're not a formal ally.
We're basically their sugar daddy at this point.
Yeah.
Is there a list? I mean, I was in I was in the U.S. military. I was in the intel community. I don't remember getting this list of these are the countries that are allies and these are the countries that are.
Well, I could tell you for sure the countries that yell death to America and death to Israel are definitely not our allies.
So like Canada.
We have
Not our allies.
So we should
Sure.
bomb- so
And I
should we bomb
think, and I
Canada?
actually think there are many extremely
should
subversive
we bomb
Canadians
Canada?
in our
Should we
media
bomb
system.
Canada?
I think we should get rid of many Canadian
do
media
you
figures in
mean
our
by
country.
When you say,
actually.
what do you mean? Get
Deport
rid
them.
of?
I'm being dead serious right now. Actually, I think there are many
wants-
subversive
he wants to
Canadians
deport Viva
who are
Frei.
involved in our media ecosystem who don't speak for making America great again.
like who?
Jordan Peterson?
There's many of them. Jordan Peterson, Steven Crowder, Lauren Chen
Crowder's
for a
American.
while. Okay, what didn't he grow? Okay,
No.
misquote him.
You grow out of it.
You're out of being
I think there's some Sarah girl. There are a lot of Canadians involved.
Who is it?
Sarah
Lauren
girls.
Southern?
Lauren Southern.
She's retired.
I mean, she's
Lauren
yeah, she
Chen.
has I would say Jordan Peterson's probably the biggest Canadian that's like
Jordan and
involved.
Michaela. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.